Reality is, I wanted to become a doctor from the age 3. I think I always wanted to become a doctor. But through a turn of events, I think family situations, etc., I kind of joined commerce in 11th standard. And in fact, so much so that the first 1 week I was hiding in the biology class thinking that if I can run another 6 months, then they'll let me continue in science and then after that I can do medicine. But anyway, the school figured that I was in the wrong class and put me back in the right class. But I think sometimes when they say that when things happen as per your will, it's good, but when things don't happen as per your will, it's even better because it's God's will in it. So I think that's really how finance turned out for me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pursuit of Finance Story Beyond Numbers podcast, where I, Nidhi, along with my co-host Tripti, we will take you through world of finance. We will learn from the experiences and lifelong learnings from the best in the industry, from the people who have navigated the financial landscape very well. We will learn much more than what we learn in our textbooks. Today, I'm very excited to welcome Sandhya on board with us. Sandhya Sriram, she is the Group CFO of Narayana Healthcare. She is a rank holder chartered accountant with more than 20 years of experience with marquee organizations Unilever, Wipro, and now Narayana Healthcare. She has received the Best Woman CA award from the CA Institute in 2023. She is one of the topmost 100 finance leaders of Asia, and she has other numerous awards on her kitty. Sandhya, you have always inspired me and millions of others women. I'm super excited and welcome on this podcast with us.
Thank you, Nidhi.
Welcome,
Thank you,
Sandhya.
Dripti. Thank you, Tripti. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here. And I'd like to commend you for the incredible work you are doing in creating this platform and, in general, the work that you're doing in helping women establish their careers and their businesses. So, thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, thanks. Sandhya, we want to know who is real you. What's your story? What really motivated you to join finance or pursue CA?
The reality is, I wanted to become a doctor from the age 3. I think I always wanted to become a doctor. But through a turn of events, I think family situations, etc., I kind of joined commerce in 11th standard. And in fact, so much so that the first 1 week I was hiding in the biology class thinking that if I can run another 6 months, then they'll let me continue in science and then after that I can do medicine. But anyway, the school figured that I was in the wrong class and put me back in the right class. But I think sometimes when they say that when things happen as per your will, it's good, but when things don't happen as per your will, it's even better because it's God's will in it. So I think that's really how finance turned out for me. Maybe I was just blessed that I got my breaks with the right organizations and I got the right opportunities. I really, if I look back, I think I'm very happy with where I've got to, or the experiences I've had, or the impact I've been able to create. And the added bonus for me now is that I finally get to work in a hospital and serve patients, albeit in a different way, but still.
Yeah, Sandhya, that is really amazing. I mean, from a doctor to a CA and now heading a healthcare organization. This is truly an amazing and inspiring journey. Sandhya, matlab, I have known you for now more than 15 years and you have more than 15-20 awards on your kitting. So, what is your, experience? What are the top three skills which has been instrumental for your success? If you can share with the listeners.
So, one, of course, I always own business outcomes. I think as finance people, sometimes we tend to take a very myopic view that what are the numbers and are we meeting the numbers? But numbers are only a reflection of business progress and business outcomes. So, one of the things I feel has helped me is that in all my roles, I've always owned business outcomes. The second part is that not to settle in a comfort zone. I think continuously learning, trying to do something new, taking risks. I've done roles in IT, in projects, even facilities also. So I've always tried to evolve myself through my career. I think that's always helped. Finally, it's always good to set yourself an ambitious, clear goal saying, this is where I want to get to. Maybe for a long time, I've had this goal that I will become a listed company CFO. It was always there at the back of my mind through every role and everything I do, everything I learn. I always used to take it through that lens that, okay, this is a journey that's going to get me there. So, having some sort of a clear goal on where you want your final endpoint to be, and of course, in the path you may go little right, little left, little up and little down, but finally you'll get there. So that's really, I think, a few things that I feel has helped me.
हाँ, दैट इज रियली अमेजिंग। मतलब आपका जो विजन और गोल, मतलब इवन 15-20 years बैक ऑल्सो, अगर इफ यू हैव अ क्लियर गोल कि लिस्टेड कंपनी सीएफओ एंड ओनिंग एन आउटकम, आई थिंक आपने बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट दिया। कभी कभी एज अ फाइनेंस वी मे से कि वी आर जस्ट देयर टू मेजर द आउटकम, but owning the outcome and not getting afraid from trying new things और trying new roles। मतलब आपका जो रोल आपने बोला, आपने आईटी के साथ काम किया है, फैसिलिटी के साथ काम किया है, ये तो बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग रोल्स हैं and unique perspective है which has helped you now coming in where। So very good points संध्या। एक फन क्वेश्चन आपके लिए, अगर आपके पास कोई सुपर पावर होती जो आपको और एक्सीलेंस की तरफ लेके जाती, तो आप कौन सी चीज पिक करते हैं?
Actually, no, we all already have that superpower. That is technology. Really, for all of us. And it's really a superpower because we need to realize that potential. They say that story of Hanuman, no? Hanuman didn't know his potential, and somebody had to tell him that this is your potential. Like that, technology is like that. It's available with all of us. It's up to us that how we are able to leverage it in a way that we are able to create a disproportionate outcome to our actions. So I feel it's a serious answer, but I think we already have the superpower.
हाँ, सीरियस आंसर, बट इट्स वेरी वैलिड पॉइंट इन टूडेज कॉन्टेक्स्ट, राइट? आपका मतलब एआई जिस हिसाब से शेप अप कर रहा है, इट इज अमेजिंग, लाइक विद यू एंड स्पेशली इवन इन नाउ योर कंपनी, राइट? यू आर doing a tech transformation. So either it is your own personal life or professional life, I think technology can really help us. So thanks, Sandhya, for sharing this. It's about now how best we are utilizing it. That is the key. How best we are implementing this technology and integrating with our work. So ये बहुत ही important point है. Just taking back to your past in terms of Cynthia, आपकी life में ऐसा कोई specific circumstances or situation ऐसी हुई challenging which really it's a life shape changing event which really shape the way which you think or which influence the way which you look for your life or your career। ऐसा कोई incidents आप share करना चाहेंगे?
See, actually, no. Our life comprises of many big and small events that keep happening, that keep changing our life direction a little bit here, a little bit there, and our decisions which we take, the choices which we make, the same situation, same opportunities which is placed between two people, they make different choices. That's because there is something that comes from their own background, their own perspective, and that drives their application of how I want to solve for this. So I don't know if I have like that one big event to share, but every event has shaped me differently. Like my child has really made, once my son was born, I think my own approach to life changed a lot. Every day I learn something from him. Every day he teaches something. Similarly, my friend circle, every day I learn something. Sometimes you go through these life changing events, you lose a family member, or you have some tragic event that happens. That also brings perspective, brings priorities on what's important for you in life. So I'm not, wanting to share a specific life experience, but what I feel is that when you are faced with challenges or when you're faced with experiences that are very deeply influencing us, I think we must use them as strength, use them as direction to build forward, and we should not use them as anchors that pull us down and don't allow us to move. So we should use them as something that propels us forward. So that's really, it's a little philosophical answer, but
It's inspiring actually, Sandhya. आपने जो point बोला ना, learning from various life experiences, and even the point आपने जो mention किया about a child, like after becoming mother, I realized we learn so many things from our kids, and which we forget when we grow adults, but or any other life changing situation. I think that's also a very good answer, that which gives us a perspective. It may not be a one instance but a series of instances, and how you can learn and move forward from there. So, in this context, Sandhya, is there any life or career advice which you got? Like, if you look back your career, either from your mentor or from your boss, which is something which really, inspired you, if you want to share?
one career advice, I think this was from Anita Badzuchi. Once she used to be my mentor at one point in time, and she told me, Sandhya, I want you to make a career wheel and make a
Hmm.
list of all the experiences that you want to have in life. And it was a actually for me it was a very deep exercise, because I sat down
Mhm.
and actually made a career wheel saying what are the experiences I have, what are my white spaces. For example, tax was a white space, controllership was a white space. So I created that. This was like 15, 10, 12 years back, I think, or even before that. So I created all the white spaces in my career, and then I worked on gaining those experiences. For example, I have never done a tax role, but every role that I have done, I have tried to take responsibility for managing tax outcomes in that role. So worked closely with the tax team, taken responsibility for actions on taxation. So in a way, I was able to color that tax box in my career wheel. So that
Hmm.
this entire career wheel concept was has been always very useful for me from the time I drew it. I think I kind of filled it up at some point in time about 4 5 years back. Only that listed CFO was pending, which now is complete. So now I have drawn a new career wheel for myself. So that was something that maybe I can share.
Yeah, this is a very good advice, and especially for early in the career people, right? I mean, that's amazing. Like, it is not about give one experience and take just do it for next 15 years. It's about different experiences which helps us. And your point on taxation is so true. I mean, I feel about that. Like sometimes we may not be a tax expert, but can we really optimize that outcome by working with the experts and owning the business outcome? For the listeners, I think it's a very good advice. Make your own career wheel and see what are the experiences you would like to gain, and maybe the experiences which is required when you are becoming, what you want to become as your end objective. Like all the experience in there which you have gained, right? It must have really helped you now in your current role of a listed company CFO.
True, 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 absolutely.
Okay, that is a very good answer, Sandhya. Thanks for sharing this advice, and I'm sure many of us will benefit from this. Sandhya, taking forward to your current role, your current organization. I mean, Narayana Healthcare has grown both in terms of top line and bottom line very healthy in last couple of years. I mean, more than 25% growth and 3x in the profits, even in cash side. I think my question, and you are trying to do many things, becoming an integrated healthcare provider or launching your own insurance business, which is I find very inspiring. Cynthia, I have a question. As the CFO of the business, what you are proud of, like how you are contributing to that success in last couple of years? That's the first part of the question, and then we'll get to the second one in a while.
Sure. So I think I was very fortunate that I was able to join this organization. And at the time when I joined, I think we were coming
Hmm.
back after COVID, and the healthcare systems across the country were really exposed in multiple ways during COVID. But people who focused on the service aspect of it deeply also had the benefit of loyalty of people coming back to them. So Narayana had the advantage that people they touched during COVID came back to Narayana for their healthcare needs after that. And so when I
Hmm.
came in, the business was going through that upcycle, and that upcycle helped us in terms of our revenues, our margins, our cash flow. So if you ask me, the CFO is a mirror of the business. one thing that we've done very consciously in the past few years is that we've heightened the focus on cash flows. Because
Hmm.
what we realized was that when you are in the upcycle, the more you focus on cash flows, then all the other levers kind of start falling in place by themselves. So that little bit of nudge which we have been doing across the business in terms of focusing on cash flows has helped us be able to create greater value. The second piece we have focused is in terms of how we are communicating the value we are creating externally. So there is a lot of work we are doing in terms of externally explaining the social value which we create, not just the business value. So that's another place where I think the finance team has been able to play a role. And thirdly, I think we've also strengthened the functions within finance more deeply. So we have a very strong business finance function. There was a strong business finance always, but we've kind of got the whole business finance team in the organization thinking in one way and acting together, and therefore partnering in a synchronous way with the business.
Hmm.
So that's also really helped us. Similarly, the controllership function has come together, has been able to simplify the organization better. So the
Hmm.
M&A, IR, and treasury function has been able to manage the outcomes of the cash flows and the needs or growth needs of the organization better. So I think as a finance function, we've been able to come together better. So I would say those were a few things.
Yeah, Sandhya, I think the point on the cash flow, right, you mentioned, and many of these points are very relevant for every organization. But the cash flow is like cash is the king. Like we think if profit and sales can happen, but if we don't have enough cash, then we will end up problem. And for you creating that, entire focus on ensuring that cash is there. And even I was going through your working capital numbers. I mean, it is very impressive the kind of how you have controlled working capital as an organization that displays your focus on cash and bringing the business finance partnership in the entire process. So Sandhya, these are the things which is I think first time which is happening in the hospital industry. At least I'm hearing for the first time, and you are making those steps in a right direction. And really, the Narayana healthcare mission of your mission to make healthcare accessible to everyone, all of these things will go a long way in that. Thank you for sharing with us. The second part of the question, like you are as an organization are also investing significant sum. So either it is about the tech investments which you're doing, or opening up new hospitals or centers, or buying new. I mean, every machine of MRI costs like 15-20 crores. So you make lots of investments. As a finance, my question to you would be how you and your teams are evaluating those investments, their ROIs, and how are you balancing between the risk and reward ratio? How is your decision process in the investments area?
Sure. So the thing with most of the business cases is that we spend phenomenal amount of time trying to put a business case in an Excel sheet, which
Hmm.
invariably is it's sometimes to the second decimal point. We will say the profit from this venture will be like 5 crores and 30 paisa. That is the level to which we will make the business case to be precisely wrong. I don't
Hmm.
think that there is that level of um, stability in most businesses in terms of
Hmm.
being able to accurately predict on an Excel sheet and deliver that Excel sheet. But some of the pointers that get us to that Excel sheet is go one step before and see
Okay.
whether the decision is aligned to the purpose of the organization, is aligned to the vision or the mission
Hmm.
of the organization, and what value the organization wants to create. When you set the Excel sheet within the framework of value creation, then you make the right decisions, because you know that
Hmm.
okay, I need this asset may make money on paper on a business case, but in this particular unit for the particular strata, this asset will come with a certain price point which may not be affordable for that unit, for that strata. So is this the right decision for that context? So then when you set
Hmm.
it in that context, whatever you put in your Excel sheet, it then becomes meaningful. Then you take
Hmm.
the next step of course, doing the precisely wrong Excel sheet and driving the business decision forward. So that is one thing, which is in the decision-making process, business context is very important. So finance people have to
Hmm.
be deeply entrenched in understanding business context. The
Hmm.
second aspect of financial decision making is that not every decision can be measured only by a business case. Obviously, you
Hmm.
have to ensure that there is a business case for all decisions and there are outcomes that are there, financial outcomes. But for every business case we make, we have to determine qualitative measures, saying these
Hmm.
are the measures that give you confidence that you are going in the right direction. Because most business cases will have a period of investment and then a period of return. The period of
Yes.
investment will be initially for the first few years, and the period of return will come very rosy into the future. So there is always the promise of a beautiful future. But during that period, till you get there, you have to have qualitative measures which tell you that these indicate to me that yes, my business is going in the right direction. Am I able to achieve the reach I want to achieve? Am I able to achieve the coverage I want to achieve? Am I able to achieve certain matrices that I want to achieve? So you set
Hmm.
up lead and lag indicators that help you assure yourself that by the time that rosy day comes, when the money you invested comes back, you're actually on the right path.
Hmm. These are very important points. There many a times we just focus on the quantitative part, which is what you said, just making the Excel sheet. So your point on having a business context, having the qualitative aspects, and then holistically evaluating the business case for that purpose for which you are putting in. I think these are important points, and these are definitely improvements many of us can bring in our decision making process, specifically for investments, which are it's uncertain. We don't know how much returns we will get in on it's a very excellent answer. And now I would really invite my beautiful co-host Tripti for taking us through the next set of questions.
So I could see that Nidhi has really gone too technical with you, Sandhya. For our listener, I will take it a little easy on you and the listeners to, specifically being a chartered accountant, somehow I feel that the kind of efforts a chartered accountant puts to get a rank, I mean, that's cannot be even thought about. Congratulations. I mean, you and Nidhi are really in aspiration rank holders. But even to clear those exams, people sometimes spend 4 years, 5 years, and you don't know whether you will go anywhere, right? And your value as if you don't become a chartered accountant is nothing. So I feel that there is some challenges in the course, but not talking about them. But even then, the kind of return on investment, not on investment ki fees kya pay ki, but return on time invested by people compared to other jobs. A MBA once qualifies, start getting a pay of, if you're talking in IM Ahmedabad or somewhere, the course guarantees you a 20 lakh kind of a package. But if you talk about a CA, it's not like that. You, even though it's a tougher course and it's so difficult, you have no guarantee. At least MBA mein jaake, 2 years ke baad you will be an MBA, right? The kind of risk people are taking, I would love to hear your views. What do you think, and how people should take this? Is this sufficient course? Should they do something else with it? What is your advice, Sandhya, to our audience who are pursuing CA, are in the mid of doing their CA?
Sure. So, how many companies are there in India broadly? How many companies will be there? Okay, let's
I,
just
I
take a number.
yes, I think 8,000 good, like we
8,000
have,
good reputed companies, you can say.
yeah.
All of them will surely have a CFO. It will surely have a finance team. It will
Right.
surely have people that will run the business from a finance perspective. They may or may not have an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. But any organization you pick, you will have at least a few chartered accountants leading finance in that organization. So, in a way, I think the comparison is not really correct. Now, what happens in the CA course, unlike, say, an MBA course, is that probably the starting is at different points for CAs when compared to the MBAs who all start at the same level, same point. CS, maybe somebody starts a little ahead, somebody starts a little behind, depending on the exposure they have gained, depending on where they land. But the advantage of the CA course is that from there it's yours to build, because it's such a versatile course. You have 360-degree exposure to everything that is needed in finance. So you, if you want to get into investment banking, decision making, fine. If you want to get into taxation, fine. If you want to do audit, fine. If you want to do risk management, fine. If you want to do accounting, financial reporting, fine. The course is so versatile that you can choose any path you want to choose. And that's the reason why most of the CFOs in the country are chartered accountants, because they pick that knowledge base across different streams. They can easily learn, adapt. So I would not want us to draw this comparison between CA, MBA, and saying CAs are, behind. But what I definitely like to highlight is that in the CAs have to build their career, they have to take accountability for their career, which means that some of the shortcomings that come with the course comes with a lot of advantages. For example, it gives practical exposure while you're studying. The course is very affordable. There is a lot of opportunities for external inputs that come through the course. There are so many programs that the CA Institute runs, or many other organizations run. So those are the advantages. But the disadvantage is that communication can be better, practical application of skills can be better. Sometimes people end up doing articleship which is very narrow articleship, so which means the exposure to a diversity of ways can be better. But then once you come on your career path, it's up to you to fill those gaps. You already have a framework, you already have some colors filled in. So you have that opportunity to fill the block and then build your wheel forward. So I feel CAs are in a better position to move themselves forward, but they have to take greater accountability to move themselves ahead.
I'm really thankful, Sandhya, for highlighting such an important aspect, which I really wanted to hear from you, because somehow I think it's not just about how much you're earning; it's about how much challenging. Because, like I said, once you have given a CA exam and you become a chartered accountant, you are actually right that you are actually evaluating different sector, doing audit, you are understanding the business. But it is up to you whether you just go and do an audit, or you actually go in detail and understand the business sense and be a contributor than just an auditor. So thank you so much for highlighting, and also highlighting how important our course is when it comes to practical training. So the emphasis on internship, because my question next question is around it, because a lot of people somehow take this internship as a very lightly. Some are more focused on just doing internship because it's part of the course, more focused on going for classes, and they want to just do it for the sake of doing it. Some don't even do it properly. So I would like to take you back to your internship period and how that has contributed to what you are. Because if I remember myself, I remember that if I touched the Excel, I would be super fast, because my senior during internship didn't let me touch the mouse. He used to like, you cannot touch the mouse. You have to be so fast on the Excel, and that is only possible if you don't touch the mouse. So, and small thing, but that has shaped us so well. What has been your experience? And then please tell our audience why they cannot underestimate internship as just a formality. If you would like to talk more and just share your experience here.
Sure. So there are two parts to this. One is the breadth of coverage that you can get in an articleship, and to be fair, not everyone gets the opportunity to land in a audit firm where you have the breadth of opportunities. So sometimes you do end up doing articleship with firms which are specialists in certain areas, and you end up learning only certain things. So I don't know if it's fair to say that you should have learned everything in your articleship, but it's good to learn. But if you're not able to learn, that's okay. There is a certain aspect of learning which itself is an important skill. So I want to take one example from my articleship where I was doing a bank audit for some public sector bank, and this is concurrent audit. So you go in the morning, they'll give you one big ledger of file, you sit and do green tick all day, and you'll go back. That's really the job, because they have some compliance requirements for concurrent auditors, and we also have. This is like a routine bread and butter business that they will send first year trainees to. Now, when I went there and I was doing this tick audit, I figured out an error in the way the system was applying interest for certain loans. So it was a mistake in the way the tool was calculating. So, and then we found it, and then the bank discovered that, and then they changed the system. All that's fine. 25 years later, last year, I was delivering the Lady Shivabogam lecture in Chennai. Lady Shivabogam is the first chartered accountant, female chartered accountant of India. And every year there is a lecture that is organized in her honor, and they call people to deliver the lecture. The person under whom I did my articleship, Mr. R. Shivakumar, unfortunately is no more. He went up on stage and he said, I remember this girl. She challenged the entire bank on their own logic of how they calculated interest. Now these things leave an impression. Even after 25 years, he remembers that story. That this was one first year article trainee who actually went and challenged the bank on their interest calculation. So I feel that one is the what, the more broader the what, the better it is, but you are definitely restricted by that. But the how is also important. How much are you applying yourself? How much are you learning from that? What are you becoming as a person? No matter, you can have a massive articleship, you could have done like 30 different things. But if you've not picked the skill of doing one thing uniquely different, creating your own mark in that one thing, adding value, that's then that knowing 30 different things is of only so much use. Now I am specifically not choosing to answer your question on people who don't do proper articleship at all, because that's the choice they are making. So if you make that choice before CA, then after CA you have to take a longer time to cover up for the gap that you've missed during your articleship. So I'm not answering that question, but in general, I think wherever you are, try to create value would be my advice.
Thank you. I mean, you have covered it beautifully, Sandhya. I would like to have a quick follow-up question on this. So these days, initially, I remember that during our time and your time, there were audits, internal audit, statutory audit, tax, and all. But now there's a different opportunity for internship as well. Would you like to highlight few, like for example, today we are talking about technology. There are audit technology opportunities which you can do, investment banking as well. So somehow we have realized that even now, this people who are doing CA still want to come and do internship, and rank holders, they still stuck that if they have to do it, can be only audit, internal audit, otherwise they can't make a mark in their lives. So for them, I really wanted you to give 30 seconds to this, that what kind of opportunities have opened up for CAs in internship as well, and they can open up and see that not just audit but a lot of other things you can do in internship. So any inputs from your side, Sandhya?
See, I have a slightly different take on it. The what of the internship is only so much. It's for me, I'm a big how person. It's the how of the internship. Whatever you choose to do, are you getting better? See, when you land into your roles, there is this funny ad that they say I'm like a math professor. I go calculus, advanced calculus, differential calculus. Finally, in my job, I do Excel sheet. It's like that. So when we actually land up in our jobs, the technical aspect of our jobs is only so much. The real aspect of our job is how we approach it, how we create value, how we challenge status quo, how we come up with fresh ideas, how we do things more differently, efficiently. So I'm not going to give a rule book to say you could do this, you could do this, you could do that. I would say that whatever you do it with applying yourself fully. And every job you look at it with a perspective that I want to change. When I walk out of this, people should remember me for having done this. I think that's the tip I would give.
It's beautiful. It's a very amazing perspective, Sandhya, which I heard from you, and I think this is what matters. Um, I mean, in Indian education system, we go by the books, and I'm really loving it that you're highlighting, questioning that what's written, why is something which we are missing. I'm really thankful to you for highlighting the importance of, how and getting deep into it. Sandhya, when it comes to a CA life and being a woman, additional responsibilities come, and somehow, we have seen, Nidhi and I have seen, and I'm sure you have seen, late sitting. Sometimes you have pressure of closing financials, timelines. You're not going home for a few days, and the kind of person you are, you've always taken that as a amazing challenge. Have smiled back, have enjoyed that period. How did you manage it so beautifully? If you like to share, and some tips to our audience, whether men or women. I mean, all of us have the same kind of a journey when it's come to a CA life and finance life.
No, absolutely. And most of the time, now the stories we tell ourselves are in our head only. The same month close night stay plays differently in one person's head vis-a-vis another person's head. Some person overplays guilt, some person overplays the stress of the job, some person overplays the health aspect. It all, I mean, health of course is extremely important now in healthcare. I'm not recommending that you should let go your health. You should get proper sleep, you should eat proper food. So I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that the perspective with which we approach is all stories that are playing in our head. Now we have to have that sanity and maturity to see beyond those stories and see what's really happening and why am I doing this? Why is this important? What is the value I'm creating at the end of this? And am I able to become a better person at the end of this? If I am able to, then I'm investing in myself. And when I'm investing in myself, then I should not look at it as a task. I should look at it as a calling. I should look at it as a direction that I want to go. And that then makes you oriented to put that extra effort. So I normally draw parallel to motherhood. You know, when your child gets up at say 2 in the morning and starts crying, you don't feel that, oh my God, this is a burden. You get up, you calm the child, and then you go back to sleep because you see that as something that you want to do. Every child,
You're invested in it, and you're
you're invested.
loving it. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So every challenge that comes your way, whether work or personal, the more you take it as this is something I want to do, this makes me a better person, this makes me happy. I think the other stories will then start becoming more quieter with time.
Sandhya, I'm listening to you, and I feel like I'm listening to a spiritual guru who has been very calm. It's so nice to hear how beautifully you've answered a work-life balance, which is nothing actually. There is nothing called work-life balance. It's about what your heart is demanding, and you're happy. If you're even if you're working late nights, you're not sleeping. I'm loving this interaction, Sandhya. I would like to quickly move on a very important aspect, and I feel that this has become very important because ESG has become mandatory, and reporting has become mandatory for listed companies now from this year. I would like to hear from you, Sandhya, how your organization, how you've been, working on ESG, how you're contributing. I understand education sector, training, upskilling is something you have picked up very well. Would love to know more from you, Sandhya.
Sure. So when we started our BRSR journey, it was mandatory for FY23 reporting. We decided saying that we are not going to take this as one compliance, that some form we will fill up. We really understand what sustainability means for us. And I was fortunate that the organization was a deeply socially leaning organization. So, really, my role was to just go around the organization and ask people, saying that, what are you proud of working for this organization? And so many stories came. Of course, we were doing a lot of work on environment, we were doing a lot of work on governance, but the social stories that came out from the corners of the organization was really inspiring. Like, we run a program for education for students who are aspiring, underprivileged students who are aspiring to become doctors. So we take them through a proper, neat preparation course over 2 years, so that when they come out of it, they can clear NEET and become doctors. Similarly, we run India's one of the largest DNB programs, which is like the post graduation programs for doctors. We run a very large nursing program. We have a very heavy investment in terms of learning and development in our organization. We run a very large clinical research program. We publish almost close to 200 peer reviewed articles every year. So, as we went through the length and breadth of the organization, we could really see the passion with which the organization was working on ESG. So, then the way we built our targets was just pick up what we were already doing and then start measuring it better. So, now when we present our ESG strategy to any of our stakeholders, the feedback we get is that you are the people for whom ESG is a part of life. You're not doing anything specially to meet your ESG goals. You're just doing more of what you're doing and measuring it better. So I think that was what was really very gratifying for me was that uh, FY23 was the first year that we did our sustainability reporting, and we won gold in the ICAI Sustainability Awards
Wow, that's
for the very first year itself. So that was very gratifying for all the effort that the team puts in into
right.
living a life which is very sustainability focused.
Thank you, Sandhya. I mean, it's so great to hear from you about the, how beautifully you are taking as taking it as a part and parcel of life, then taking it as an extra responsibility. With this, I would come to our very second last question: is what keeps you motivated to be to go on and on with so much calmness, Sandhya?
I think I love what I do. That gives me a lot of satisfaction. A passion, it gives me a lot of satisfaction. And if I feel I'm making a difference, that makes me happy.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sandhya. With this, I would come to a very last question, which we love, is calling out on person who have actually contributed to your life and you would like to thank them. So we normally ask our speaker for the day to call out, share a few names which we can thank them, because today we have someone like you, aspirational, in front of us, sharing a story with our audience just because of their guidance, because of their support. It could be your family members, it could be colleagues from different work environment. But if you can call out few of them, we really want to thank all of them right now on your behalf.
I have a lot of people to thank in my life, but the one person that really is like my backbone is my mother. From the beginning, she has always stood behind me and always supported me, and she's a big influence in who I am. So, if I have to thank one person, that will be my mother. But through my career journey, I think I have had multiple people that have influenced me in a very meaningful way. Many of my managers, the colleagues I've worked with, the organizations that I've worked with. In fact, maybe another occasion I can share the my journey into joining Levers itself was a journey that would have never happened. And it only happened because there was a recruitment manager called Rikta Prasad in Levers who actually went out of her way to get me an interview in Levers. So I have so many people in my life to thank, and I feel the best thank you is to give forward. I can never go back in life and thank the people that have helped me. So I try more and more how much I can play an impact in other people's life, how much I can do for others. That's really the best way to say thank you.
So I, on behalf of this whole, I would like to actually call out on your mother for thanking her for being such a beautiful soul to bring someone like you here with us. And I would like to also thank Rita Prasad, because you just called her out for being that soul to, without knowing, without being able to put you through a wonderful journey. So thank you so much to everyone who has been behind Sandhya and has been supporting. Because I have only one thing which I've remembered, that as a woman specifically, or maybe male, now I would not call out just a woman, but we should have one mentor for our professional life, and everyone does that. But when it comes to personal life, we should have a mentor too. So if you are still thinking, please figure out a mentor who is available not only for professional but also personal life, and you will see how quickly your big problems become small. So, with this, thank you so much, Sandhya. Nidhi and I really enjoyed interacting with you, and it was such a wonderful session. And we will come back with another powerful interaction, and looking forward to see you all soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.